Up in our program today, pods of gold, one man's dream to supply the world, and a privately funded New Zealand-India co-production which bucks the Bollywood trend. Hello everyone, welcome to Asia Down Under. Last weekend, New Zealand was taken by surprise when more than 10,000 people turned up to march against crime and violence. But now the turnout has been overshadowed by talk of triads and vigilantism. Glenna takes a deeper look at the issues.
Only 3,000 were expected to turn up last Saturday for the March Against Crime. The skies boded rain, but it did not stop people from joining the protest. By 11 o'clock, more than 10,000 had fallen in line. Parents brought their children, and young and old alike braved the rains, hail, and wind together, emboldened by their sheer number.
No action, no vote! No action, no vote!
Peter Lau, head of the Asian Anti-Crime Group and organizer of the march, said it may have been cold that day, but his heart was warm from the response, until Monday arrived.
If the government don't do anything, and we got no way to turn to, we will hire either the Chinese security or try it or and so on. But this is not we really want until the last option, you see.
Reaction to the triads poured in, and it was mostly critical.
If you try to solve a gang problem with a gang, the conclusion would be very obvious. It'll cause more violence and more bloodshed. That would be a stupid idea.
I think it might create more conflict maybe, like between the police as well, especially if it's illegal.
Just this Tuesday, several members of the Asian Anti-Crime Group resigned, saying they knew nothing about triads and wanted nothing to do with criminals. It was not the first time Peter had mentioned triads or vigilantism, but after Saturday's rally, police and government officials seemed compelled to condemn the use of triads for protection, calling them a curse and their use counterproductive.
I don't think there's many people in his group who would agree with the idea of having vigilante groups or triads. In terms of fighting back, that's a very bad idea.
But Professor Man Ying Yip of Auckland University's Asian Studies says the triads are not the real issue, but the pervading feeling among Asians that they have been neglected for so long.
Asians are the most discriminated group, and it is not just Asians feeling that, but general population. So this is well established. And on top of feeling not welcome, people feel slighted. They feel that there are barriers when they want to approach police, language barrier and perceived institutional barrier probably. And also feel that many Asians feel that they are not taken seriously when they complain.
She cites the handbag advisory issued by police to Asian women as the perfect example of how Asians are misunderstood.
Not putting money in your bag. I mean, these are useless, unfeeling, unsympathetic kind of advice, and people have felt very frustrated for a long, long time. I know that has been brewing for years, actually.
The call for change is echoed from all sides of the Asian community.
The police obviously need to improve their communication skill with Asian who report crime. I mean, after all, the police for a long time encourage people to report crime. So when people do, they need to show responsiveness. I think the other issue is Asians, when they face the trio of brutal murder followed by burglary, and you have a prime minister actually say crime is on reduction. So they felt that maybe government is really not listening.
It's time we had closure on this issue. And I think a lot of people, especially from the Indian community, they want some sort of closure and they want some sort of action. But the action is not based on vigilante approach. It's more about security, police, just the general community feeling. All that has to be considered.
It's been a month since the death of liquor store owner Navtej Singh. His family has left for India to scatter his ashes on the banks of a sacred river, a ritual that brings the soul to salvation and perhaps closure to the grieving. Here in New Zealand, closure for the Asian community seems long in coming, and it will take more than sacred rites to end the mourning.
The next step should be, well, the politicians and policymakers should come out really quick to defuse it, all right? I mean, if I were the Commissioner of Police or the Prime Minister or somebody in Internal Affairs, I wouldn't be sitting there and say, oh, what should I do about triads coming in? They shouldn't be worrying about that. They should diffuse the situation by ensuring the Asian community that something useful is really being done.